my name's Sabrina, and today we're going to go over how much my home is really worth. So it's the clarity session. Tonight we're breaking down one of the biggest homeowner mysteries, what your home is actually really worth. Okay. Types of appraisals. So not all appraisals are the same. There are different types of appraisals out there. There's a full appraisal, which includes an interior inspection. So they walk through the home, thoroughly look at everything, structurally, everything. There is a drive-by appraisal, which is exterior only. And this type of appraisal would be where simply, as it says, driving by, looking at the value. I feel like sometimes they might get out, just kind of take a look, maybe take some pictures here and there. I have seen that as well. And then the third type of appraisal is a desktop appraisal, which is data analysis. So this is where they take the recent comps that are in the area within a certain radius or miles. And then they will look at things there and kind of do a data analysis. So, yeah. Now, depending on the appraisal type, it also has to do with, you can't really request a certain type of appraisal. So I just want to touch base on that. Sometimes they are based off of the lender's preference or the appraiser's preference on loan programs, risk levels as well. So I will let you know that too. Um, but before appraisal happens, homeowners usually see the value estimates that are online out there, right? So we'll go right in. So why online estimates are always different. So there is different data, different algorithms, different data sources they are pulling from, and also different timelines. Every website uses different data, timelines, and algorithms. So think of it like thermometers in one room. So they're all going to read like slightly different. All right. So the three sources of home value. The three sources of home value are an automated value, which this is where you're pulling from Zillow, you can pull from Redfin, you can also pull from Realtor.com. So I have used personally all three of these sources in finding out what the value is and kind of estimating what the value is. So I really want to put a heavy emphasis on the word estimate because these are essentially estimated values. We really truly would need an appraisal to know, but they are, good checkpoints. All right. There's market value driven, our market driven values, and there's also professional appraisals, which is a professional valuation of the home. Typically, when you're purchasing a home, you will run into having that formal appraisal, that valuation. With refinance, yes, you will also run into more than likely having an appraisal as well. There are certain circumstances where it is waived or could be waived, so that is all dependent. And obviously, you'd want to speak to your loan officer or financial person to determine that for your specific situation. All right. So moving right along here. Um, when it comes to value, no single one is perfect. The truth is usually somewhere in the middle. So you can always use that as a good gauger to kind of estimate um, based off of that too, or even based off of comparable sales in the neighborhood, comparable homes. You can look at that, or you can also ask your realtor too. They might have access to data that can simply look at that and they might be able to help you out there as well. Maybe seeing certain trends that lenders don't necessarily see. I know they are in the market a little bit more, are involved in the market a little bit more. Just being out there and active and having connections with others that a lender, or a mortgage broker might not have. So, all right, so we're moving right into market comps. These are comparable sales. Homes that recently sold, similar size, similar location, as I had mentioned. Appraisers look at homes that are recently sold in your neighborhood or your area that are similar in the size, condition, location, and truly that is the strongest indicator of real value. Like I mentioned, talk to a realtor if you want more specifics there. Right. What impacts your value the most? Okay. So local comps, the condition of the home, the square footage, any updates, remodels that you've had, your location, your neighborhood, supply and demand. So when it comes down to it, appraisers care about six of these main things here. Yes, the sales that have happened, the size of your home, so looking at that square footage, the condition of the home, looking at, the overall structure, any upgrades that you have, like really significant upgrades, remodels, maybe adding a bathroom or adding like a deck or something that's going to really put some value in the home. Um, Possibly another room or addition here. They look at location because like location is very important. So if you're in a neighborhood that's really up and coming and yeah, that can have an effect on the value. So it's a hot area. It just only makes sense that people are going to want to come and live there. I love the area that I'm in. I feel like it is up and coming, and I like my location because I'm able to get to a lot of places. So it definitely has an impact. And market trends, the market, as I had mentioned, there are areas that are up and coming. There are areas that are more in demand more than others. So you definitely want to check in on that and kind of see and ask a realtor or even get multiple opinions from realtors as well. I'm sure they would help you out with simple questions. Now, what does not impact your value? All right. This one usually surprises people. So, what you paid for the home, what you still owe on the home, your upgrades and what they cost, the sentimental value, what a neighbor said, and your monthly payment. All right, so this is where homeowners tend to get misled. Your home is not worth what you paid for it, or even what you owe on it, or even what you spent on the upgrades. So you could have those upgrades done. However, that specific dollar amount might not be the dollar amount to make that value go up. So you always want to check in and see with a realtor, get a more accurate number. Looking at similar homes in the neighborhood is always going to be the best thing. All right. Buyers do pay for the market value at the end of the day. All right. So getting back to online valuations. So these are your Zillow, your Redfin, your Realtor.com. Pretty much any evaluation that you see online that is a website, has a bunch of homes on there. It's nice. The pros are it's fast, it's free. Some of the cons is that it can lack and lagging data as well. Missing interior conditions. So, you know, when you had purchased the home, um, we don't know what upgrades you've done or what has been reported to these websites. So these can be really off sometimes because they don't see all this data. And that's why. Uh, but yeah, they cannot see the upgrades and always take those online values with a plus or minus 10% margin. And then if you have an appraisal on file too with an existing loan, you can always look at that, like a more recent value. I have clients that refinance, let's see, like maybe within the past year or so, and they might have that value, a solid value. Um, and then when they purchased the home, maybe like 6 years ago. So always rely on like that most recent appraisal. Even then, values can fluctuate. So, as I had mentioned before, all those factors that I was talking about, those can impact. So, yeah, what do you feel like your home is really worth? It's really important to know exactly where this is at here. Okay. And how appraisers actually determine that value? They will look at 3 to 6 comparables in the neighborhood within a certain mile radius. They will look at the upgrades, the condition of the upgrades, the price upgrades that have been happening, market trend. Some even do a cost approach. All right. How to find out your home equity. So, this is very simple. You take your home value minus your loan amount, and that is what you have going on in equity, okay? Now, this equity is not all usable. In some situations, especially if you're a veteran, it can be available. However, there are a lot of factors when it comes to lending. If you're thinking about refinancing or thinking about using some of this equity, pulling from it, which way or the other, whether it be doing a refinance, doing a home equity loan, line of credit, even reverse mortgage. There's a lot that goes into how much equity that you can take. Typically, it's going to be between 80, 90, or 100%. So yeah, it changes if you're a veteran. And everybody has different factors, different loan programs that are out there. Brokers use different loan programs, lenders use different ones, different risk levels. So there's a lot out there. Can be very confusing. But simply put, you're gonna take so let me pull my calculator up for you. So let's say um your home value is like 350,000. I always like to use this number as a benchmark. So you take that 350. So I'm just gonna kind of show you there. Oops. Okay. So take that 350 minus what you owe on the home. So we'll say you owe 200,000. Okay, so you just simply just subtract that out, that 200,000. All right. And then we come up with 150,000 there. So you can see there. Simple math. Now, that is your equity. That's exactly what you have on your equity, okay? So, not all this might be usable if you are considering a refinance. So if you want to really consider that refinance and see, what you're going to want to do is take that 350, you're going to multiply that by zero point 0.8, which is simply 80%, which most loan lenders will do 80%. So you can kind of use this as a benchmark. As mentioned before, this is an estimate and always want to talk to an official loan officer, broker to actually find out what your specific situation is. So that's going to be usable equity within a refinance transaction. Okay, so then you're going to just take out that mortgage balance. So 280 minus the 200,000 that you owe on the mortgage. And then also, if you have other loans out there, you're going to want to take things into consideration and definitely talk to the lender because they will let you know. So your usable equity comes up to about 80,000 there in that case. All right. And I have some really awesome tools out there and equity guides to figure all this stuff out pretty simply as been in the business for a long time. So a quick case study here. So simple example here that I put up is your Zillow value, your estimate at 325,000. Your Redfin, so you see this online, your valuation. You can kind of pretend like this could be Redfin, Realtor.com, anything really. There's just another one here. So 345,000. And then you see your actual appraisal come in at 338,000. So that's like definitely somewhere in between some of those numbers. But your loan balance, say it's 241. So your equity is approximately that 97,000, which is the appraised value. So as I mentioned before, you can always gauge it. So we'll say, sorry, my throat's a little dry. So 338. So this is like simply if you're looking at your appraisal, which is the most solid value. So it'd be the 338 times 80%, which gives you 270. Now you see your loan balance, you just subtract that out, 241. All right, and then that comes up to 29,400. Now, whenever you are doing a refinance transaction or even a reverse mortgage, anything really, there are going to be some level of costs. So that is something that you typically cannot avoid when it comes down to the title work. Um, the appraisal, as I mentioned, itself, plus also the loan costs that are within the loan, the program. Like I said, there's a lot of numbers that are out there, and it's really important that you understand how these numbers all work for you. Uh, right.